Good morning, afternoon, and or evening, depending upon time zone. Ladies, gentlemen, and all those in between and beyond that binary of the internet, welcome to Neon Lights Roleplay. More specifically, welcome back to Against the Light, our Kingdoms in Warfare adventure. Before I introduce the lovely cast all around me, allow me to take a moment to begin with a tale. In the time before even the Great War, a great red drake is said to have crashed down upon Castle Westwatch, or Waywatch. The townspeople, recently deposed of their ruler and seeking new light, took their time to aid this ailing, wounded creature, assisting it to heal and grow back to health. During this time, the ancient drake, with its wisdom and infinite knowledge, helped the townsfolk with various bureaucratic and diplomatic tasks, helping them build up their infrastructure and growing into a flourishing populace. And when the time came, the dragon was fully healed and the castle fully rebuilt, the townspeople revealed a gift. The castle had been rebuilt to accommodate the size of the massive, massive creature. And for ages to come, that great dragon and all of its descendants would go on to rule over the castle Waywatch and its surrounding towns as the Crimson Order. To its date, it is led by a capricious individual, a king in red, resplendent and avaricious, a seeker, a finder. Some might even say a hoarder, if you will. And in his quest for knowledge and artifacts of great power, the Red King has come across many fine things, and some fine people even, all of which he has desired for himself. And there is nothing the Red King despises more than to be denied. I will now pass it around the horn to my players to introduce themselves in overlay order. So please, as I pass it to you, tell the people in the audience who you are, who you are playing today, where you can be found on the internet, and today's question. Answer in as vague as you'd like. Who has your character scorned? And it's almost fitting that we start at the top left with the incomparable, the incredible Legendary Vermin.
Hello, y'all. I'm Legendary Vermin. Tonight I'm going to be playing Fane Hemlock, the High Emissary. And, oh, wow. Who has Fane scorned? Definitely nobody important. Nobody who could now be described as jilted and powerful.
Certainly no one important, yes, absolutely. Keeping moving right down the row. Don't mind as the scene changes over real quick as I fix some things. We move straight down in the counterclockwise direction, coming to our bottom left of the screen, to the master of intrigue of the house, Jouse. Say hi to everybody. Unmute yourself first.
I don't mute myself, so. Hello everyone. I'm Chouse. As you can see, I'm a bumbling fool. You can find me on the internet at about just Chouse. Look for the dolphin. That doesn't make any sense if you don't know. I'm sorry. But I will be playing Rio, our rogue, our little knife boy. I'm running out of adjectives for him. Blueberry.
You
Yeah.
seek the dolphin, for the dolphin contains all knowledge. And with that cryptic message, we slide. Oh, you didn't answer the question.
Oh,
If you give the dolphin a diamond, it leads you to treasure.
God damn it.
Sure. Yup. That.
Oh, fuck. Is that canon now?
Yes.
Fuck.
So tell me, Chouse,
It's folklore.
who
It's
is Rio
lore.
scorned?
Let's see. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, with his business and what he does for, as I guess you could call it, a side hustle, he has scorned a few bridges, but nothing he's really considered like crucially important. So, like smaller underworld factions, like the couple of like teenager ruffians who just want to watch the city burn. It's just like, alrighty, calm the fuck down.
Fair enough.
So
Well,
yeah,
you've got to step on a few small fish to make your bigger way in the pond, yes? That's not how the
It's always
analogy
a bigger
goes,
fish.
but we're going to go with it anyway. Rounding out our intros as we move across the dice window to the last person that exists here for tonight's stream, who we would not be able to function as a group without. Ever happy to have them at my table, and I hope to see them under me as a player for years to come. Hi, Meg.
My plan is to stick around, so until they get sick of me and kick me out, you're stuck with me too. Hello everybody, I am Meg Mysteria, and tonight I get to play Lydia Evermore, our resident house historian, who we're starting to learn is keeping more secrets than she probably should be from her friends. But as far as, remind me what the question was, who we've scorned?
Mm-hmm.
As we saw in the first episode, I believe, first or second,
yep. First.
Lydia has somehow managed to scorn the Crusader Lord of the Everlight Church.
That you did. You sure did. That happened, huh?
She sure as shit did.
We had to
No
deal with
one
that at some
knows
point,
why.
It might be important to the plot or something. I don't know, maybe.
I don't know.
Didn't they also have like a kid or something?
Kids were
I don't
mentioned.
know where you're getting that. I don't know where you're getting that information, but
I can't remember shit for fuck. But
no, I promise
Lydia
this
be
war is
like,
not.
Uterus?
I promise you, this entire war is not a lover's quarrel.
So you say, but the evidence not very compelling. Regardless of that,
you're gonna need a witness for that.
where we last left off, as we slowly move ourselves back in the scene, the party ventured north, far north, found themselves lost in the Atam Mountains after encountering a clever little compatriot group of giants. Due to some clever diplomacy on part of the High Emissary, however, they were able to negotiate with the giant matriarch and apparently keep some towns from being ravaged. However, that was only a secondary task for their crusade, as it were, as they found themselves venturing even further north, eventually encountering the court of Ithaca the Medusa. Seeking to save and assist in the transformation of their friend Morgan, who had been afflicted with the Medusa's curse. Negotiations were tense, but the High Medusa was nothing if not giving. In the end, a bargain was made. Morgan would be transformed and saved, brought into Ithaca's court, and in return, when the time came, the party would accept Ithaca's aid against the Everlight Church. And as more truths were declared and goodbyes were said, the house historian learned a very clever truth. Not only is Ithaca simply a smaller pawn in a much larger game, all of this, Morgan's turning, their meeting, and this pact, was all planned. We will place ourselves no more than a day or two after this. The journey back is mostly quiet. I'll assume you all take the time to process the things you've learned or scheme, plot, discuss with other emissaries. In fact, there's so much happening between Thane having to work out the specificities of the giant treaty, Rio dealing with his own traumas and superstitions, Lydia having to encounter some truths, and even Airdrie seeming to be a bit more quiet and reserved these days, as there's a bit of things going on, it seems, with him. And it's not something he seems to be open about or talkative on, but any of you can tell he's dodgy lately. Just a bit. Nonetheless, travel proceeds as normal. You warp yourselves back into the town you were resting in the north. Your enclave meets up with you, and travel back to Westreach is perfectly normal. You rest, gather some sleep, and you are quickly told that it's been a bit long since you were away from the court. Between the Interrecta and the other things that have happened, well, you simply haven't had the time for most courtly affairs, and, well, it's time to start tending to some of those things. Today's meeting is not the typical bickering with lower council members and other minor nobles. This is simply the High Council and the matriarch of the house, now Vairdans, sitting around a table, debating matters of diplomacy. It is mid-afternoon about. The war table is high at your chest about, depending on your height, obviously. The area that denotes the Gilded Coast is littered with markings and things, and a few various individuals are standing by to report in and offer information and things. You'll recall a few sessions ago, you all sent scouts, spies out to both check on the Metri, as well as the Church and the Crimson Order, and those scouts are all appearingly, at least messengers from those scouts are all here and ready to report in, what it looks like. Outside of that, Naudi is with you, sitting in her throne. She is leaned back, as when it comes to matters like this, she tends to let the High Council simply speak their tones. Airdrie is absent. Early in, as you guys were gathering, you noticed that his second, Bryce, came up to them, and she spoke and mentioned that his plan to rally the peasantry and make some room for more potent archers would require a bit more personal training, and thus he pulled away to go do some diplomatic matters, talking to peasant lords and other nobles. He'll be around. It'll probably be not very long. However, he will not be here for this gathering. But he has left a list of things he would like to have ordered and done for the council. Otherwise, you all are gathered here, and I'd like you to do the following things to help us set the scene properly. As I like to have a little scene setting. When you feel appropriate, and you take the scene, tell us, what do you wear when you sit with the court? What's your courtly attire look like? You got your travel look, you got your battle garb, you got your walking around money, you got your clubbing it clothes. What does your courtly attire look like? And then proceed to go ahead and describe and take any domain actions or other moves or discussions you'd like to have. As I so often love to say, darlings, the scene is yours.
Can we perhaps start this scene with getting a bit of a report from those that we sent out to...
Yes.
I believe we sent them out to, one, the Crimson Order.
You did send
we
spies,
were also
yes.
doing some...
As well as the Metri and the Church.
Yep, Metri and the Church. We wanted to get a gauge on what was going on with the Metri and the Eldari as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Lydia, pick one.
Pick one?
Yep.
Let's start with the Metri and Eldari.
Absolutely.
Because that was a big one that Ithaca mentioned, that we should let the Metri and the Eldari basically kill each other off and worry about the church.
Of the collection of spies and agents you have in front of you, one steps forward as you ask about the Metri and the Eldari. It's Shouse, you don't have to help me with the name here. You had an assassin, your personal assassin, you detached to keep an eye on Metri Loam. Do you have a reminder on their name?
Yes.
Help me out with that, boss.
I do. Adria.
Perfect.
I took notes.
Look at
I'm happy.
Listen, I'm so proud of you, Chouse. Matter of fact, Chouse, Take an inspiration. Good job. All you. So, Adria steps forth, a saunter to her hips, and she twirls a dagger in her left hand, just reporting in, my lords and ladies. The Metri were, not the most difficult nut to crack, as you may note. Loom is a braggart who thinks with, well, both of his heads, but certainly one more than the other. I'll let you assume which. Nonetheless, some time with him determined that...
It's that one thing. I'm gonna be honest. He chose Adria for a reason.
Nonetheless, I spent some time in the personal court of Sir Loom, and he was nothing if not forthcoming with his plans. A Metri army is marching on Aldari lands as we speak. Honestly, by now, they've likely already met in the early skirmishes, if not come to outright blows, the outcome of which we'll have to see. The Metri have leveraged many of their skirmish cavalry, the Caravan Guard. They are a potent force of ranged foes with great mobility. The Aldari lack in that department, but their spearmen are formidable. And Longblade is not likely to let her pass go. Many are feared of the Aldari spearmen and their legendary acumen in military means. It will be a bloody battle. I am not certain what intel gave you the information that the Aldari and Metri would come to open conflict, but you are correct, my lieges. They will fight, and soon.
I do believe we must make sure that they do not completely wipe each other out, but just get a bit of tension relieved. That sounds weird.
Can one of y'all, and I'm actually going to argue it should be Rio here, give me an espionage roll, real quick.
Espionage.
I can quickly pull up you guys'
that has
sheet.
to do with...
That's your domain roll. I can pull up your sheet if you guys don't have it up.
I've got it
Is
up.
that a D20?
Yes.
It's a D20, yeah.
If
Espionage is
Okay.
a D20 plus 1.
And if you have, I'm gonna quickly remind myself what skills are applicable to it. But if you have an applicable skill, you can add your proficiency to it. Here, I can pull it up very briefly. Go ahead and roll for now, and we'll keep moving through it.
Okay, I got a raw 19.
Raw 19 plus the
And
1
I have...
makes that a dirty 20.
And then I have like a 10 in stealth.
Well, you add your
guess.
proficiency
I
bonus,
don't
which is
know.
plus 4. So it'd be a plus 4 no matter what.
Okay.
It's just if you have the skill, which I'm pretty sure stealth counts. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that yes. So that's a 24
Okay.
in that overall. Good roll.
Yeah.
So as you're talking about not having to wipe each other out, Adria speaks up again. Come to think of it, my lord, I did get some numbers on the Metri forces as they were heading out. They don't appear walking with an Annihilation army. Territorial claims, certainly. I wager they want to snatch a few border provinces, maybe scare Longblade out of any military action for a few years, but with the force they have, I can't imagine they have any goal more lofty than mild demilitarization.
Okay.
That is, however, and she stops spitting the dagger, to say nothing of the Aldari themselves. They will not take kindly to this.
Yeah. Is Rio familiar with like the usual temperament of the Aldari's
Absolutely.
Reaction to military conflict?
Absolutely.
And is it like the U.S. at Pearl Harbor?
I'm gonna make this very simple. The Aldari's motto, their slogan for their faction, when translated to common, means never conquered. There is a reason they stick to that tone.
Okay.
Military action against them is not a slight they take lightly.
Yeah.
It seems like if we want that not to become a huge deal, the thing to do is maybe not talk to the Aldari, because I think that's a big boulder to roll up the hill, but maybe convincing the Metri that they need to basically say it was independent action by these few earls and just like walk away from it as soon as it comes up.
Give them a way out.
basically say, you do not know what you're committing to here. If you're going to do this, here's our tip for not getting in a protracted war. So that's a huge olive branch from us to the Metri. I feel like we fucked with session 1. And it allows us to side with the Alderi publicly and say, like, hey, if they marched into your territory, that's fucked. So.
Nowdy nods. Riding the middle line. Certainly an applicable option. There is, however, the caveat.
Doesn't ensure victory.
There is the caveat, though, that if this gets public and things don't go well for the Metri, if public opinion turns on them for trying to spin the tale as independent action, we may be implicated in that. Just considering all things, it's not a bad plan.
I think that's a risk worth taking here.
I mean, the public, if I do recall correctly, the general public opinion of the Metri is not great.
It depends. Within Metri land, it's often popular.
That's true. I mean, many people favor their own lords.
Nonetheless, lacking a better option, I believe Madame Hemlock's diplomatic solution may be worth considering. Was there any other solutions we might consider as alternatives? Outright siding with the Alderi is not something we don't have to turn away from if we wish to.
For stating my thoughts on the matter, I would like to see what we've gathered from all sides. We could effectively be dealing with a war from 3 different fronts, so having as much knowledge to plot our course before making that judgment would be favorable.
Now,
Then-
I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
Aelin, did we ever get that report on the Crimson Order? And she will, like, turn and open a nearby, like, bag of briefs and scrolls, look through it, and she pulls out the scroll that she got from the Crimson Order advisor. You see her draw a nail through it, kind of mouth the words to herself, curse under her breath, and put it away as she waits for Ilan to come back.
Ilan steps out for a bit, just like, our agents had been dispatched to the Crimson Order recently, but we believe they are checking in now. They were debriefing and gathering themselves from rest. I will go and fetch the agent now, milady. And turns to sort of offer a light bow and moves to leave. Naori notices the curse and quirks an eyebrow, but doesn't say anything. I'm gonna wager, unless you were trying to hide it, the others might have seen it as well.
No, probably not trying to hide it.
In that case, yeah.
Like, a moment of, like, this is going to be pertinent. Like, she's about to read it to the table, and then just stops herself. And if Nauri's going to look over and quirk an eyebrow, you see Fane mouth Jal.
Now, Naori kind of gives him, it's a weird mixture of gestures. It's a solemn nod of almost frustrated understanding, but there's also a sort of hand over her mouth as she appears to be chuckling a little bit. Just the slightest chuckle. Just, It appears cogent you would mention the Crimson Lord then. Share with the group?
Damn, Foxy, coming for me tonight. I have been invited to the Castle Waywatch. It's not. And she chews on her tongue for a second, trying to find the right words. Composed in a diplomatic form.
Elaboration.
Was a personal call.
Huh. Well, the Crimson King desires one of my court, and didn't even spare the grace to contact me directly. Quite the slight.
I may have asked for any missives Jal had. We hadn't heard from him, and I thought I might grease the political wheel. And she says that phrasing and immediately regrets it.
Yeah, Dowdy Chuckle returns full blown, just quite. Well, I will assume you share a similar hypothesis to mine, as if the Crimson Lord has been quiet for some time and we are only now hearing from him, it would mean he's been waiting for something and is now ready to act on whatever that is. Yes?
Seems probable, but I'm curious where he has been allocating his time.
Indeed.
I mean, he does have many children.
We also
Does
had
he not?
received word that the Pale Fall had been pressing his territory.
Poignant, milady, a voice says from behind as Ilum returns with an agent. It's an elf, actually. Fair-toned. They're hooded, but they are quickly removing the hood, revealing a line of tattoos across their face, which those more magically inclined would know are likely a matrix for a sort of invisibility spell tattoo. They come forward. Milesius, if it pleases, I have my report.
This elf's name is Tellison Belmont.
Yes, it is. Tellison offers a very low bow. Milesius, if it pleases, I may offer my report. The Crimson Lord has been busy, and not in the traditional sense. I have not seen much troop mustering, nor have I seen any active treaty around his court. I have noticed, however, his Explorers League has been out and about, and not on their usual quests. No, they have been pilfering elf lands. Well, I'm certain the confusion we are all sharing is one that is the same that I had upon initial realization of this, and so I dug deeper. What I discover is, well, a curious bit of lore between the Pale Fall and the Crimson Order. For those who are not aware, Jalthroxe is a collector of sorts. It would appear something was taken from him, and not by one of ours.
Were you able to gather some information of what exactly was taken?
That's the most curious thing. The only information I could gather on it is how impossibly hard it is to actually gather any intel on it. I worked every lead that I could.
I mean, I guess it is hard to figure out what is missing if you've never been there and know everything, so...
Quite the opposite, actually, my lord.
That's understandable.
If the Crimson Lord is searching for something, that means he has word out for it. It should be the most easy thing to find information on. The fact that it's so tight-lipped means whatever it is, he can't afford to have it known he doesn't have it anymore, or that he ever had it to begin with.
I have a meta question here. Fane knows Zhao, obviously, and what is the kind of nature of this collection? Because I know she summons her bow, and we get like a brief flashback of this in the story, but we get images of kind of a younger Fane out in the field looking for something, coming across her bow and seeing the like outline of a dragon behind her. So yeah, is it predominantly weapons in this collection? Is it?
It's predominantly artifacts, relics
Okay.
from different societies and cultures. Most are known for their power or the status around them. Not all are outright weapons, but plenty can definitely be used in the right hands as weapons, depending on who used them. So, as uh, as sort of Taliesin kind of sort of finishes, he just says, "Unfortunately, that was all I could grantedly gather, other than, as has already been stated, the Crimson King requests the presence of the High Emissary in his court in just a day's time."
Kind of without words, Fane is going to look over at Lydia, and it's like a shot cross shot of like Fane doing very silent, pleading eyes, like please help me.
Well, quite frankly, I would be curious to see the range of this collection if he would grant it. He didn't make any statement saying that the High Emissary had to arrive alone, did he?
Blessedly, he did not.
Naori quirks an eyebrow. Foolish. Nonetheless, that sounds as if it's appropriate. Actually, this plays perfectly into my plans. I believe you two should certainly accept the Red King's offer. Travel down to Waywatch and see what you can make of this information. Rio, on the other hand, I have a task for you, my master of intrigue.
Go ahead.
There is far too much occurring in the West right now, and my court is blissfully unaware of it. I have a contact, let's say, within the lands of the Pale Fall. You will travel there to a small town along the coast, and you will meet with them. Find out whatever you can. I know what they are willing to offer. See if you can't gather more than that.
Do you mean east here?
Yes, I don't do directions.
Okay.
I don't have
I
a
was like,
political
wait a
map.
minute.
Yep.
I was like, wait a minute. The West is all Mitri lands.
Yeah, that's that's exactly what I meant. So take that exact thing I just said because it was really cool and I don't want to say it again, but replace the word west with east.
Editor, get on it. Wait, this is live stream. Shit.
And while you're there, you'll have the opportunity to perhaps gather some information on what's maybe moving in with Raziel. Have we gotten any more word about that?
Not much, and thus my thoughts for Twin. If you can, see if you don't find a lead on what's happening over there on Ryza.
Did actually have an idea for that. Sending 2 teams of hands over there and keeping an eye on things, keeping an eye on their shores and, well, across that little river there. Seeing any troop mustering, and if worst comes to worst, pillaging, but hopefully it will not come to that, and he'll just use it as a staging ground to build forces and other things of the sort, so only time will tell.
Very well. I believe that plan is set in motion. Was there anything else we want to gather information on, or should we start discussing what matters we should attend our court to?
And I think with that, Fane is just going to kind of look over at Lydia and be like, "We'll talk. We'll catch up." No, I think we're ready to begin making orders.
Very well. Then let us have our last agent share their intel on the Everlight Church, and we'll move forward from there. The last agent, who appears to be very, very small and sprightly, almost like goblin, you would guess, but the lineage seems like they're not fully goblin. Maybe half goblin? They're small and sprightly, gray toned with long ears and covered in piercings. They remove their hood just a bit. They're very, very young. You wager maybe 17-ish? Just as you will, milady. My team has been dispatched deep in church territory for, well, approximately a year and a half now. We have only now returned. I have lost a few agents in the process. However, we have gained a good number of things in the process. I will recall what I have in detail. He waves a hand. A scroll kind of materializes in front of him. He rips it open. As I understand, the Everlight Church consists of 3 domains itself we should be aware of. The Everlight itself, which in its own can muster more force than we can directly. Along with them, they have the last members of the Dunedain up north, the dwarves and orcs that held out in the northeastern castle. They have been fully subjugated by now, and their engineers and cannoneers are fully employed by the church. Further, the church also has a pact with the Palefall Covenant. The elves are operating with them as far as we know. You are all aware of that, I'm certain. There is something there, my agents have gathered. The relationship between the elves and the church is tenuous. It's held in place well, but there is some air of secrecy on both sides. Both are not telling the other something. What this means, I am not certain, but mayhap it is leverage the lords can use. Beyond that, the church's military is, as we expected, expansive. The way that they not just subjugate, but indoctrinate and assimilate entire populations, conscripting and leveraging them into their levies and troops. Their troops are not just fervent, but well-equipped. Crusaders and cavalry knights like I haven't seen. And that is nothing compared to their Pegasi riders. They dominate both land and air in a way I haven't seen any military unit do. Our forces will need to be bolstered if we are to face them. This is about the whole of my... No, I'm sorry. There is one other thing. I took a bit of a risk, Maleges. I embedded myself personally into Castle Everreach and tried to discover what I could about the Crusader Lord. What I have is not expansive, but what could account to a psychological profile on the Crusader Lord himself. Iman Talem is many things. Fervent beyond all means, we all knew. Passionate, dedicated, shrewd tactician, an ironclad ruler, and mad. Completely mad. I am not certain how to explain it. He masks it well behind this cold, calculating demeanor, but I've seen it. A cold, sickening fire that burns for something in him. And I don't know what. But God's help us all should he get it.
I fear we are stepping into something much larger than any of us anticipated.
That
Wow.
feeling shared.
Thank you for your report.
The young Asha nods his head and sort of springs his way back towards him, back into step a little bit. Now he turns and just says, "Now that intel is fully gathered and we are aware of what can be done, we have next to speak only of what should be done. The floor is yours, my court. What move shall we make?" And the way we're going to handle this, to give everybody time to really think it out and plan out their RP and everything, is we are going to cut to a quick break at the hour mark just about, as we're at 55 minutes. Give y'all about 5 or 10 to decide on what y'all want to do. Come back, RP it out, and then someone's got a dragon to say hi to, huh? We'll see y'all in just a bit. Don't touch that dial or that browser. We'll be right back. Goodbye. And we return. Welcome back to Against the Light as we move on into our next actions. We left off with the court deliberating and discussing their actions, having decided on what they're going to do once they've settled court. However, we still need some time for them to decide on and give the orders on what actions they will take. Our break time was a bit long, and we apologize for that, but that was only so I could make sure the court properly prepared all their actions. And now, thus, with the scene settled around the war table and Naori patiently waiting the orders of her advisors, I pass the scene back to my players. What orders will you give?
Bane will start off by saying, if battle is coming, then we're going to need horsemen. Send out the word. We need 2 battalions of riders. I don't know military terms.
It's enough.
I mean, neither would Fane, so yeah.
Bane? No, Fane's an accomplished military leader.
Yeah, Fane knows some
I'm
stuff.
not.
What? She's not just hot bird mom? What the fuck?
I mean,
she can be
let
both.
a female character have more than one dimension.
Yeah, Chows. Wow.
Are you talking about the knights or the wyvern riders?
Talking about the knights.
Yes.
Okay.
To bring the audience up to date on that, I guess Fane receives like a missive.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like we are going to be receiving some report from wyvern riders, but wyverns can only do so much without protection from archers on the ground. So, 2 leagues, horse squads.
Regiments makes more than enough sense.
Regiments.
There you go.
2 regiments of riders.
Certainly. So Naori waves a hand, and some attendants begin to busy themselves with gathering up orders. The first regiment of Westland Knights is certainly free. No question, go ahead and gather that one. For the second, can you make me an operations test, Fane? It's going to be a d20 plus whatever your operations bonus is, and if you'll give me just a moment, I can remind you what skills you need for that.
So it's a DC 13.
Let me see. 1 second.
I haven't noted what skills they are.
Yes. For let's see. Here we go. For domain skills, when you are rolling with operations, the skills you can apply proficiency for are, and I have them right here. Once my book starts to load properly. Excuse me. I'm sorry for the break, guys.
Book? Sorry.
Book, please. There we go. All right, here we go. So you can use athletics or insight. If you have proficiency in either one, you add a +4 to this roll. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
I saw the nope in your face. You should unmute yourself, by the way.
Fuck. I'm looking at my big old list of skills, and I've got a whole slew of them. No athletics, no insight.
Tragic. You're gonna go ahead and roll that d20 and add a. Remind me again your operations bonus, please, Lydia.
It's a +2. We have a +2 operations bonus.
Cool. Sweet. Dope. Do that.
Great. It's an 11.
Much like my character, I'm the bookkeeper of the team.
You're doing great. Let's see.
Thank
an
you
11.
kindly.
Noted. You start to send out. So attendants are definitely sent out, and you know for a fact that the first order of knights will be gathered. But you're definitely a bit concerned about the shortage of horses currently. You wager it won't be hard to gather up knights. Let's just hope we have enough mounts to spare for all of them. Yes. let's go ahead and move on to our next
Yes.
action. Anything else?
Rio will be like, on the note of a bowman on the ground, I do believe I will be able to gather some crossbowmen to help cover your flanks.
All right. If you are mustering a unit of Westland crossbows, only one unit will require no test. If you're mustering more than one, it'll require a test.
Fuck it, let's go for 2.
Okay, you can give me operations.
Alrighty.
If you have proficiency at
That
athletics,
is an 8.
18 flat.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. 18 raw, yeah.
Okay, so that's plus 2 is a 20. Plus, do you have proficiency at athletics or insight?
Athletics or insight? I do not.
Oof. So flat 20. Dice flat 20 is all right. Yeah, no problem. You start to send, like, you gather up one of your attendants, and they easily inform you that because you've already been spreading the word about possibly needing to make word of a muster. There are more than enough able volunteers able to to gather up and be trained. In fact, you actually have a list of you're handed a list of sort of like the training results from recent crossbow drills. And there's definitely enough people who are scoring high enough to be placed in the crossbow regiments that you can easily fill up 2 regiments, no question. So you can go ahead and y'all can go ahead and add 2 groups of Westland crossbowmen to your army.
Fuck yeah, crossbows. Sorry.
I'm just happy you're happy, love. Shall we continue moving forward? Are there other domain actions to be made? Anybody?
Are we limiting it to 1 domain action a player?
Nope.
So I would like to remind you all that a feature for our domain is that for a domain action, if we make a DC 13 operations test, if we succeed, we can muster a unit of Lancers.
I was hoping y'all was going to say that.
What are Lancers? Are they like...
They are a tier 3 cavalry.
Giant robots.
Yes, but that's a different TTRPG. So,
Coming soon to Neon Lights Roleplay near you.
not wrong. Any case, outside of promo, in this case, the Lancers are your domain special unit. They are a tier 3 cavalry unit. Very good.
Okay, I thought that was the Westland Knights.
Westland
I
Knights
thought that
are
was
tier
a
2.
special thing.
The Westland Knights are just regular old human cavalry units at tier 2.
Okay.
So yes,
Cool.
you are correct, Lydia. With a DC 13 operations check, you absolutely can muster the Lancers.
We also have a couple of different ways to muster units, including making backdoor negotiations to get units from an NPC realm that is opposed to us, as well as negotiating for a special unit with an NPC realm we're associated with. So I guess we could associate that one with the Riders.
Absolutely.
I think this is also when somebody makes the call to just say, "Hey, we need to fire up the smithies, and make an operations test to get heavy equipment on units we levy."
In that case,
This is what Airdrie is doing while we're gone.
In that case,
Yeah.
I'll have Airdrie make that test for volunteer blacks. Actually, I can go do that now. Actually, matter of fact, remind me what your operations bonus is. +2, right?
Isn't
+2.
Airdrie wanting them to remain as light infantry
He was
or the
considering
light
that.
units
That's true.
because
Only
Because
the units that
Air-
he's commanding.
Yeah, only the
Yes.
ones he commands. Yeah.
Yes.
So you can
Yeah.
choose to have your levies be heavy if you want. Yeah. So it just means you might not want to give Airdrie your levies depending on. But yes, that's rolled for. That's fine. So yeah. And actually, since you mentioned it, Lydia, why don't you give me the operation test for the Lancers if you haven't already?
Sure. Give me just a moment.
You have exactly 3 moments.
Is there anything that would add on to that for a skill?
Do you have insight or athletics? It's an operations check, yes?
Unfortunately, I do not. So we will be making that with our lovely +2.
Operations +2.
Where's our lovely elf boy when we need him the most?
That is a 15.
That's
So
a
we got
pass.
ourselves some Lancers.
As you are discussing this, you see that just like literally just in this moment as you're just like preparing to like think about like like writing like your units, a man steps in. A woman steps in, actually. I forgot that I made the script already. Knight Commander Janice, who gained fame and renown at the Battle of Dasham Bridge, steps forward, scarred and prepped. She is proud and strong and decorated. She has a new sort of pauldron about her right side, which is glittered in gold and bedecked. Her helm has been redone as well. It's in the face of a stag in bronze with twin antlers arcing up on either side and twin jewels set in where the eyes are. Its mouth open where her head or her face is exposed. She has her helm in her hands, approaches and says, "My lieges, my instance and I return from a successful deployment. We put down the insurrectionists in the north with no losses, ready for redeployment." And thus, you can absolutely feel free to add a tier 3 unit of Lancers to your army.
Speaking of backdoor negotiations, the tricky thing here is that we don't necessarily know who has mustered special units. I guess this would be our opportunity to interfere potentially with the flying units from the opposition.
That's also true.
Maybe clip their wings.
That's maybe what Thane would be looking to do here. Diplomacy against the opposed domain's communications.
All right, go ahead and roll that while I make sure I have the sheet ready.
Real quick.
Hit me.
If I have persuasion, does that mean I can add my proficiency to this?
I will double check and let you know right now what the I'm pretty sure persuasion is 1 for diplomacy, but I will double check. Yes, insight and persuasion. So you get absolutely add +4 to this.
Okay.
Hit it.
24.
Woo, big numbers. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you
roll 20.
You're easily able to divert some of your agents towards disrupting communication lines in the east, trying to disrupt some of these dispatches and orders around the west, around the Everlight Knights. You know for a fact they were not long on crusade because the church is always on crusade these days. So it's actually not too hard for you to simply just get some of their orders scrambled a bit. You wager that while you're not able to divert the entire order because they operate in independent cells, you definitely know for a fact some large contingent of Everlight Knights, Everlight Crusaders, will not be making it back to Everreach in time to deploy for the army.
Oh no!
What a shame. Oh no. Anyway.
Ringe. Sorry. Where's my voice? Fuck.
All right. So, keep it moving. Any further domain actions to be made?
I don't know if you want to count this as a domain action or not, but like I had mentioned over break, I would like to put some sort of communication into perhaps reach higher than Ithaca in the Medusa court. And come to a diplomatic understanding with them. Given they want to aid us in this war, but they have not given us a means to actually communicate with them. Thus, we cannot really be sure how they are acting.
It is a bit of a strong word.
So, here's what I'm gonna have you do, if you don't mind. Can you roll lore for me? It's the domain skill. I'll let you know what can be added to it in just a moment. If you have, I know you have proficiency Arcana, but Arcana, History, and Religion, which I'm pretty sure. I think you have proficiency in all 3 of those.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I have Arcana and History. Surprisingly, I don't have Religion.
Huh.
I should, but I don't.
Well, go ahead and roll lore for me.
Okay. So then. Nobody asked questions as to why this number the way it is. Is it? Wow. This is fine.
You did great. You're doing great.
It's because he started to flex.
What? Sorry. sorry. Apologies.
This is fine.
I didn't mean to. My bad.
Do we have hero
This
points
is
in the
fine.
system? Am I allowed to reroll?
Oh, what'd you get?
That one.
Oof.
Yeah.
About time we
look
get
for
one of
a
those.
Rough.
Well, so I'm actually gonna leave that one right there. You're gonna find out what happens with that at some point. When?
You know what?
don't know.
I have plenty of means. I'll figure it out.
You have means. That's true. You do have means. Do other people have means? Who knows? Maybe. No one else has means.
Modes.
Nobody else.
I've got averages.
All right.
Well,
enough math
as far as I
jokes.
know, nobody means well. So
We'll just count this as speaking for House Vairdans, and that maybe they're not interested in speaking with House Vairdans.
Possibly.
We'll address that at a later point.
Indeed.
Wait, Vermin, you said a pun that was very bad.
No,
and I
we're
missed
not-
it.
we're not bringing
I
it
was
up
able
again.
to tell. Well, no, because like I saw Foxy just go, motherfucker, and so I'm like I missed it, but I'm kind of sad I missed it. What was it? What?
it's
Somebody-
so not worth repeating.
Okay.
God fucking damn it. Okay. Enough.
Somebody clip that.
Enough. Any case. Jesus Christ, I love you guys so much. So, do we have any more domain actions to be made?
Not that I can think of at the moment. Unless we want to reiterate once again, just information gathering.
Yeah, would it be a domain action for Rio to send hands over to Ryza Isle, and then maybe one to Everreach?
You're damn right
Or,
it
like
is.
the
Roll
outskirts
espionage
of
for me.
Everreach. Alrighty. Espionage. That is it. Let me pull up my
Although you
character
have
sheet.
already added proficiency to one domain action for this turn, so that you won't add proficiency again.
Okay.
So it's just a flat d20 plus or minus whatever your espionage bonus is, which is
Espionage bonus.
somebody-
So I got a raw 15, but I have proficiency. Oh wait, no, I can't add proficiency. Okay, so that is a 16.
Okay, so
Right?
yeah, so with a 16.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you absolutely so you are able to gather up two teams and dispatch them. You'll get word from them as soon as possible, and you'll find out whether or not they were able to get it get you any intel.
Yeah, and I can further elaborate on like what their orders would be if you want in like DMs and stuff.
Yeah, we'll go into that definitely. No question. So
Okay, I do have one other thing I would like to do. As I understand it, I might be wrong. I can attack Everlight Church's like stats, their defense stats directly, right?
technically, doing so starts intrigue if you do so.
Oh, then
So-
I won't.
So you could.
You
was just-
could.
it was just-
Would you
I was
like to
gonna be
roll
like-
your character?
It would just rapidly escalate the campaign, let me tell you. But you could.
Okay. I won't do that
You want to start a war?
yet.
Oh,
Look, all I want is to slowly erode their resources by having all of the Fey enclaves be like, actually, you owe us back taxes for living on our land.
for existing. You owe us for existing. You should pay up.
I don't know how to tell you this, but
fuck that bitch.
there's a very old treaty, and you're in violation of it.
Sorry.
Whoop.
So.
Try living longer.
Hilarious.
That's me cutting at their ankles.
I see. I got it. I understand. Well, was there anything else we'd like to do here?
In terms of domain actions,
Anything?
not really. I would
Keeping-
like.
Other than keeping an eye on the Mitri and the Eldari.
And I'll say, as you already spent an action to roll to get some spies in them, you won't have to re-roll for that. It's totally fine. You definitely will keep. Audria definitely just like says like, she'll keep she still has some talents in Metri and will certainly be willing to keep her eye on him, no question.
Wait, is that also a harpy?
No, it's just it's a metaphor. It's one of those metaphors. So, here's how we'll part this scene, as I feel like this is especially if we give a nice good separation of time here. You are all aware of your orders, yes. 2 of you are heading down to the south, towards Castle Waywatch, to have a certain meeting with the Crimson Court. The Crimson Order, I meant. The other is headed across the seas to meet with a contact in Palefall Elf territory. Now, please be noted, as we know, the elves are sided with the church. So, discretion should be prioritized.
Advised? Yeah.
It feels very strange to do this, given I feel like we just got back, but that went about an hour? Can y'all believe that? Yeah, we left at 55 minutes. We're at an hour and 41 now. Can y'all believe that? Wild.
Don't seem
Wild.
right.
Wild. The system's crazy.
Linear time is...
We just...
Time doesn't make sense here.
And I mean, if I can briefly, separate for a brief moment here, I think that's one of the merits of this system is that you get these like really intense, like, encounters where nothing's really happening. You're kind of sitting around a table and like discussing what to do next. But it goes for, I don't know, it goes for a while, and I think that's kind of like what the system is made for. So I'm hoping y'all like it. I sure like it. I like seeing y'all do it. It makes me really happy.
It certainly simulates what it would actually be like. It's literally just debating over a table. Like, okay, what are we?
Yeah.
What's our next move?
And I like it. I like the
What's
way y'all do it, honestly.
Best option.
So,
Yeah.
as I feel like we've definitely sat around and debated around tables too long, let's take another quick little break. Let my players rehydrate themselves since they've been talking a whole lot. And when we come back, we'll send our folks on their way. And we'll honestly probably come back just about in media res, in scenes as they feel appropriate. Come back and forth between them until we get to our end time in just about an hour or so. We'll be right back. My dear audience, please don't touch any parts of the dial. And we will see you in just a bit. Bye-bye.
Don't close that tab.
And we return. Where we last left off, the party had dispatched themselves away. And they had split orders. Of the 3 remaining members of the court, with Airdrie absent, 2 are inbound to parley with the Crimson Order and their leader, Jelthroxe, while another is headed across the seas towards the land of the Palefall Covenant, with orders to meet an informant. We rejoined the High Council at a port town not far from Westreach. The journey here was simplistic and peaceful overall. You had the night to rest and to gather your dress and your needs and give any orders you felt necessary. And now, with the morning sun high in the air, a ship ready on the coast to depart, and one of you bound for it, you find yourself sitting on the port against the water with a bit of a moment to talk. I pass the scene on to you, loves.
Fane is in the middle of organizing a carriage to take Lydia and herself the rest of the way, because she is refusing to ride the last leg of that journey on horseback.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a carriage matron in town, as you didn't bring a carriage out from the house with you, but as they operate within Westreach, they are more than accustomed to accommodating members of the High Council, and they have a few luxury carriages prepared and ready in storage for any members who need, specific escort, and they have no problem accommodating you. A luxurious, sort of beautiful, large covered wagon with a furnished cabin on the inside with some plush seating and large spacings and nice lighting, prepared and ready for both of you. There's a driver even ready to usher the cart forward. The journey to Waywatch isn't too far, but they'll take you there, no question.
The money is already spent, and we are looking at this carriage, and Fane is saying, "It's going to send the wrong message, isn't it?"
What? If, fuck. If you don't mind me asking, what message are you trying to send?
Find me attractive in a political way.
Yeah, it's the wrong message.
Darling, if you've already had personal relations with him, then I really doubt any sort of way is going to appear politically appealing.
You are
Rio will
definitely
kind of
right.
like half turn and be like, "Have you passed with him?"
Fane is going to.
Last I recall, our interactions with him were not the most. Wait, I was the one in the horde. Wait,
You're the one who's
I'm
in
gonna
hot water
stop
with him,
thinking.
right?
As far as I am aware, mildly warm.
There is a mix of complicated, and that's all she's gonna say on that matter, and try to like scooch us along. Is the boat prepared?
Don't think about
Are
it.
you? Are your hands ready? Is the boat prepared?
Yes, I have a small skiff that I've employed. Good people. Worked with them quite a bit actually, and yeah, it shouldn't take too long for me to arrive in Revan Pass.
Fane is going to take one of the medals off of her stag, and going to kind of gesture to one of your horns to like wrap it there with the coin for good luck.
Surely. And he'll kind of
Yeah.
like lean forward.
Yeah, and it's just like on like a kind of linen tong, and there's like a little coin that's gonna not bounce against it, but like you'll feel it. It's like a little
Right.
reminder.
Yeah. And would Foxy how would Rio have been able to, so we are in Corsa Crest, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would Rio have gotten that that teleportation rune stone thing in the time before heading out?
You put your artificers to it, and you inform them of the task. Unfortunately, they informed you that it would take probably a few weeks before they even have a functioning prototype. Teleportation magic is finicky.
Funky?
You don't want to
Yeah.
warp
Especially
your,
with
they just want you like, you don't want to warp your outsides or warp your insides and not your outsides. It's saw it happen to a
Yeah.
friend of his once. It was messy.
Don't
make
want to
sure
end
your
up in an
innards don't become
anaphora.
outards.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, Rio will just kind of just reiterate. We each have the stones. We can communicate with each other, and if worst comes to worst, I will not be too terribly far away. However, I don't think I would be able to respond to a mayday call in due time.
That is perfectly reasonable, dear. Focus on prioritizing what your task is. Find out what's going on with the Pale Falls. We'll do the same with Joe.
Alrighty.
Is that where that moment ends there, friends?
I believe so.
Wonderful.
As in just a passing thing. Lydia has passed off a basically an arcane history text to Rio for some reading for his boat ride. He
You got
wanted to learn
homework.
magic, so here you go.
Yeah.
Haha, you got
Homework.
homework, nerd. Haha.
Rio is loving all of this reading that he's like doing. He's like, yes, another one. Because like
Is it?
out of
It
like the
doesn't have
list,
anything about application. It just has history and what things are.
This is one of the foundational
No.
theory texts.
Yes.
If you're going to learn magic, you have to learn it properly.
Have you ever read
you
theory?
have to learn it
Honestly,
from the
like
beginning. Fuck theory. Fuck thinking maybe. Let's fucking go.
Hey, well, listen.
You want me to
you
teach
know.
you magic? You're gonna learn it the way I teach it.
You're gonna learn it the long way.
So, as that sort of moment passes, the morning begins to wane, the clouds passing slowly behind the yellow sun. As the sea is fully illuminated with this bright cascading blue, there's a small ding as the skiff makes itself ready and is officially ready to take off. Rio, you embark on the boat. A few passing crew members welcome you and say hi. As again, you've worked with most of the members of this ship before. There's a table of folk already gathering a table to play some cards to pass the time as the journey goes on. So you're definitely more than prepared and ready to go without too much of trouble. The other two, you load up in your carriage. The driver makes sure you're both secured and comfortable, and closes a sort of privacy screen behind him to make sure that your conversation isn't overheard by him. He gives a nice hush, and the horse and cart begins to make its way. Here's what I think we'll do, as we have officially a split party. I'm going to cut back and forth between the two of you pretty evenly. We'll start with Lydia and Fane. Where we put ourselves is you are still in your wagon and cart. You are slowly moving your way across the low plains. The area south of West Reach in your territory is not the same. Where you are used to verdant hills and long farm fields, it gives way to not a barren, but a certainly less flourishing place. This almost savanna-like terrain is all about you, giving high hills and patches of overgrown forest and tree. You pass towns and trade cities here, but nothing too major. As you spend the day mostly traveling, you slowly see yourselves approaching a high castle. It is made of pale white stone and overlaid with bits of metal and wood. It stretches far and high into the heavens, and at the top of it sits a high arcing dome of bent wood held in place with bolted metal. There are sheets over it as if to indicate some kind of privacy, but it's definitely too big to be a comfortable resting place for anyone human-sized. And here you find yourselves alone.
Do you know any magic that would give us the assurance of privacy?
Depends on what regard.
Regard-
Magically, simply eavesdropping.
Magically. Well, both, if you can manage it. It has to do with the information that our scouts were not able to glean about the ongoing search at the castle.
Lydia, save yourself for the spell search. Roll Arcana for me.
Okay. Significantly better than the nat one, so 25 total.
You're able to do it. Tell me how.
She...
Imagine you asked the question while she was just had her legs crossed and she was writing in her notebook, and she has to stop and you can visibly watch her as she's almost like mentally going through a list of things before shutting her eyes, and then there's a bit of a light glow. You can see almost that light glow of blue energy that comes off as an aura from the way her magic presents.
Hmm.
And you can feel it reach out and basically envelop them within the carriage. And she opens her eyes and says, "So long as we are in this space, we will not be perceived in any way."
I'm sorry, I just thought this and I have to say it out loud. Does this mean Lydia has a mind palace for spells?
Yes.
Pretty dope. I ain't gonna lie.
Amazing.
That's pretty fucking dope.
Amazing. I know what was taken from him. He had a collection. It was an incomplete one. They look like tuning forks. He had a decade of them last I saw his collection, but I know that there is a fuller set. He was always searching for the last 4 or so to complete it. If there's something that he wouldn't want to know was missing, it's that. Foxby, do I know what those do?
How about you both give me an Arcana roll real quick, actually, if you don't mind. History is also more than acceptable. Or religion, now that I think about it.
I rolled. I rolled an 11. Yeah, on the history.
You got it. Yeah. So you know for a fact that dimensional tuning forks are normally meant to help individual people plane shift, attune to different planes to shift between them, basically. They're normally only found in individual sets to help someone, one person transfer. But you know that magical power is just, well, it's funny, it's finicky. And so a set of them, well, they can achieve you don't know what, honestly, but you know for a fact normally one person uses them to kind of anchor themselves to a plane so that if they move to another plane, they can get back to their home plane without too much trouble, basically. That's usually what a person uses one for. A set of them, well, you'd have to sort of probably just, you'd have your thoughts, I think, but I don't think you have any sort of solidified theories on it. Additionally, since that other roll was there, I can't spell, hold on.
It would, that one was an arcane roll.
Mm-hmm. It was what was it?
20 total.
You know this.
Berman, have some public information. Meg, I have secrets for you.
I have a list of redacted comments.
There you go. I mean, share that as you will, but, there you are, Meg. Enjoy.
Tuning forks, they're generally used as anchors, correct?
Yes, but my experience of magic suggests that, well, given the vibrations from one and potential harmonic differences between different tuning forks, it's difficult to say what could be done if you had a whole heap of them.
And you said last you knew he had 10 and was looking for the remaining 4 of a supposed set?
Of a set, yes. I don't know that he knew what to do with them once he had them. It's as was said earlier. He's just a collector.
Was there anything else of particular interest that he collected? Any sort of inclination on why he was so fascinated with these tuning forks?
I mean, we met searching for this, right? And she summons Cydia's spindle. He likes curios. He likes artifacts. The older, the better.
The forks themselves are quite old. I can see why he would be enamored with something with relics like that. Tell me, I haven't gotten the pleasure of meeting him myself. What is he like? You don't have to go into any personal details. Of course, private matters remain private.
And she shoots you a look that could peel the paint off of a building. Well, since the cat's out of the bag, voracious is a term I would use for him. But also, have you ever known somebody to be both powerful, extroverted, and generally a flame that draws moths, but also incredibly unsure of themselves? He has a soft heart, in spite of everything.
And for his people? Or just a general
Or anyone he
tenderness?
considers a peer.
I see.
As you guys are wrapping up this bit of conversation, that you are approaching the gate to the castle. The cart begins to slow to a hold as a group of guards outside hold up hands to indicate it to stop. The driver opens the private screen in the back. Madams, we are here. He hops down, opens the cart door to allow both of you to step down. There are two guards in front of the two of you, both dressed in armor of deep black and crimson red in some places on the pauldrons. They wield twin halberds and stand at firm attention. As you two step out of the cart, one immediately recognizes and steps forward a bit and says, "Hail to the High Council of House Vairdans. You were expected."
Lead on.
His Grace will meet you shortly, and he turns and offers just, "For now, please follow me. Allow me to acquaint you in the hall." And they sort of, without waiting for too much of a response, begin to walk back in through the gates. As the other...
I feel like the phrase "acquaint you with the hall" is directed more at Lydia than at Bane.
Definitely, no question. The other guard opens the gate, and as they're moving, you can even notice one of them kind of gives the other guard a look, and like indicates that the two of you kind of like. The other one's just doesn't say anything else though. You're brought through a massive courtyard. It has statues in high resplendent form, and also has plenty of long gardens of brilliant flowers in different hues of red. There are attendants of different shapes and sizes all gathering about it. You see individuals who are impossible to not to notice. One, if not for their incredibly regal red and gold garb, but if not for that, then for the horde of attendants each of them has about them, tending to their hair or their hands and claws or other things, their dress. You can easily identify these as probably the hires up of Jalthroxe's court, and given the way you can see, those of them that aren't hooded or clothed seem to have scaled features in some cases, or even sharp teeth or jaded eyes. You wager that most of them are at least half dragon. You are brought, after some time, through a pair of double doors into what looks to be certainly not the largest hall in the court or in the castle, as if you could guess, but a bit more secluded than the main sort of dining area. It still consists of a large table with many seats around it, though most have been pulled away and placed somewhere else. There are glasses on the table that are not filled yet, but as you are approaching, there are already servants coming in from the other door on the other side who are already pouring glasses of fine, deep red wine into these glasses. First one, and then another, and then as they look up and see Lydia, a third one in the group. And again, there's still some cut eyes here or there, but no one seems to have the gall to say anything out loud in your presence. Just some cut eyes and some whispers, and maybe but nothing else. And after some time, you find yourselves sitting in the hall as the attendants go to leave. The guard who initially let you all in, is still standing at the doorway he let you all through at perfect attention and has not moved. Doesn't seem to speak or offer you all much other than informing you that Jalthroxa will be with you both shortly.
I suppose it was intended to be a singular invitation. She picks up one of the glasses of wine.
And she'll smell it. Yes, and from Limehaven, no less. He does like to give a personal touch.
The tendency of a collector is to offer personal approval over everything you consider worthy. A voice calls from across the hall as a door opens. It's brassy is the best way I can describe it. Silken and smooth in one tone, but underlaid with this fire, like a furnace is burning just beneath the tone of voice. The figure who enters is dressed mostly in a fine blue gown. It doesn't appear overly regal, almost as if it was casual wear. His hair is tied back in several locked rows that gather into a tail at the back of his head. His ears are finned and bright red. You can see scales working his way across both of his cheeks, where a firm smile is nestled across fanged teeth. Black sclerad and yellow irised cat eyes sort of level at both of you. Well, one of you in particular, and then the other. There's a slight glower, but it settles as entering into the room in front of the two of you. You find yourself facing the Crimson King, Jalthroxa the Red Dragon.
Lydia will offer a polite curtsy and say, "Apologies. I recognize that this was likely an individual invitation, but there are also matters of the house that we would like to discuss."
He takes... Did you offer a hand, I'm sorry?
She, like, a curtsy.
He gives a very low bow and comes back and just... Offense is not taken. I assure you, politics are always first in the realm of the Crimson King. I more than understand. It is a pleasure to finally meet the famed high historian of House Vairdans, Madame Evermore.
A pleasure to meet the Crimson King himself.
I do appreciate the way my reputation floats off of the ears of certain voices. That, however, is a matter for another time. I welcome you both to my court. It has been so long since I have had such flattering guests. I thank you for accepting my invitation, Fane.
Of course. How could I miss the opportunity to catch up with such a good friend?
Is that what we are now? Good friends. Good to know. I apologize for not having a feast prepared. I just ate, unfortunately. So, there is not a proper feast prepared for guests. But if either of you hunger, I could have the kitchens prepare something in post-haste.
I think the wine will be more than enough for now.
Indeed. Perhaps you'll find yourself with other cravings later.
Gonna let that one sail. We're just... there's... I think what the camera shows in this scene is like... It's exactly the thing of like Fane is at her ex's house, definitely wanting to fall into old patterns, but is also super conflicted about it. This is a question for you, Foxy. I don't know if we've said it out loud on the stream. Has Jal basically... The question for Fane is Jal like trying to tie her down is the best way of putting this.
You know, it's funny you mentioned this. He made a passing remark about it during your last encounter. And it wasn't anything too blatant. It was as close as him mentioning that, well, he's a collector, and he feels that when he finds something worthy enough, he feels that it's just only appropriate that it's kept safe and secured in his possession.
So, I think one of the things we see on Fane is like the resistance to the idea of belonging to somebody. That's not her style.
I'm a strong, independent bird mom. I don't need no man. I'm sorry.
I hate you so much, but I don't, actually. I don't hate you. I should hate you.
Do I think Fane is more like, why have one?
Fair enough.
Gotta let a bird mom spread her wings. Maintain several nests in several cities, and a very, very up-to-date calendar.
Clearly. Minus the fact that Fane has hoes in different area codes. We're gonna move on beyond that. Jal notices you don't...
It's all very above board. I want that clear.
Sorry. Fair enough. Jal notices...
Important.
Yeah, it's very important. Consent is important. Jal says nothing, noticing that you don't respond to his very, very direct comment.
Her only response is to like tighten her grip on her wine and bite her lip a little.
He quirks an eyebrow a bit, but doesn't say anything else. Nonetheless, personal matters can wait. I have you both here for a reason. Well, again, more directly, I had one of you here for a reason. But I'm happy for the company, I assure you. He says, offering a very, very wide smile at Lydia that I'm not going to make you roll for insight is definitely bullshitted.
That's okay. The polite smile is also completely bullshit.
Well, shall we get right to the meat of things?
Yes.
My wording is improper. I've already gotten to the meat of things not long ago. He thumbs out the door, and you'll see that carrying away on a massive sort of, I guess, pallet to some degree are two servants hauling away what looks to be a pile of cow carcasses. There's not a lot left of each carcass, but they're just being wheeled away. Yes. Well then. As you can both certainly tell, and I'm more than certain your house is aware.
Can I ask if that burp was in character?
Yes.
Sorry.
You're fine. I'm glad you asked, Joust. Thank you. As your house is more than aware, the West is seeing tensions rise. The Eldarian Metri are set to war. Other domains are speaking their concerns. I even hear rumor of roving giants with plans to tear about rampant towns. Things are precarious around here. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree. And they are set to get more precarious.
You are aware of the church, then?
Well aware.
Yes.
Believe me when I say there is no small degree of concern for you and your kin being among the closest to the southernmost end of their reach.
I love that you have concern for me.
I wouldn't hide it.
Nonetheless, I and my court have our opinions on the church, and while they are firmly neutral now, my personal stance is, let's say less positive. Not for anything personal, I should mind you. What these lesser-lived folk do with their rampant crusades means nothing to me. It's not as if the Crusader Lord could simply march his forces over here and overtake my castle. That would be impossible. Rather, I have concern with an allied domain of theirs. Those nasty knife ears.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he said it.
That term sounds a bit racially motivated.
I will assume that you are referring rather indecently to the Palefall clan.
Apologies. When one lives as long as I do, you forget the way social norms advance in time. Yes, the Palefall, as it were. That rotten collective of stranded, shipwrecked outsiders who have no place on these coasts, and yet still find themselves annoyingly clinging to them.
While I hold no strong love of the Palefall clan in its particular iteration, but I would ask that you remember that the Fey courts are spoken of the same way in many realms.
He falters. He, like, the smirk kind of wilts a bit. His answer sounds honestly genuine. Forgive me, I forget myself. I should know of persecution. It's unfair to speak of one in such ways. I am just irate as of late, if I'm to be honest, as I've been stolen from. Again.
We had heard that something had gone missing, and I have my suspicions about what it is.
A relic set of dimensional artifacts found from a society that was once here on the Gilded Coast, long before even the Great War was a thought. An incredibly potent little discovery of mine. And I don't have the full set. Well, I never did, and now I have even less of a full set, as I have none.
Is this why you reached out to me?
Partially.
What can I offer you in terms of their reappraisal?
He leans forward. You can offer me camaraderie.
You're going to have to be a little more specific.
Are you sure I should in front of company?
Fucking hell, dude. Behave.
Very intriguing bartering personal incentives when it comes to a diplomatic matter. Because to an extent it is.
He breathes out a bit. A little tiny gout of flame comes out of his mouth. Apologies. I am hot-blooded today. No. The house historian is correct. Personal matters can wait. Rather, I believe I know something in particular you all can certainly offer me. As you look, he has what's definitely a cow bone, and it's just gnawing on it, just like biting chunks out of it. What I feel would be wonderful is if the two of you do one of two things. You see, I will be candid. I am aware of who stole my relics. And I am aware of why they stole them. I will share that information with House Vairdans. In return, I ask, a favor. Let's put it that way.
Go on.
Terms can be negotiated after acceptance.
I'm not sure that's how negotiations work, darling.
They do with me. But, again, cultural norms and changing times, I will behave myself. So, I have a bit of information on my erstwhile nemesis, the elves. Information that shouldn't be spread, I feel may cause diplomatic concerns. However, as I am already in a terse situation myself, diplomatically, I don't believe my domain should be responsible for airing said information. Are you catching where I'm going yet?
Indeed.
Good. And to sweeten the deal, I will even offer part of what I understand. I am certain my dimensional tuning forks were stolen by the Palefall, and not by individual actors or a rogue miscreant, as is wont to make off with my relics every now and then. Rather, this was coordinated. Drya herself has a plan for those, and I know that plan.
Okay. That's some information. My question is, does what you're asking us to reveal about the elves need to come from House Vairdans?
The more official the statement, the more likely it causes implications for my enemies. But I suppose discussion on that can be left up to you. Though be warned, if I find that the results of this negotiation are not satisfactory, I may seek to renegotiate the terms.
Trying to decide if Fane finds that sexy or not.
While you contemplate your arousal,
Is that danger? Is that danger, or is that don't threaten me with a good time? You know?
Both? It can be both.
Probably both.
Lydia is going to ask, "No, What conflict are you in that causes such trepidation with you making the proclamation yourself?
Simple pragmatism. If the East wishes to gather and unite under the Church and make war with us, the West cannot afford to be in flames. A house divided will not stand. Yes? The Metri and Aldari are already set to conflict. We have no hand in this anymore, I'm certain. If anything, I am reaching out as a show of goodwill. Can House Vairdans afford to have any other conflicts in home turf? Or must the West stand together now?
Fane will look over at Lydia and kind of shrug and nod and turn back to Jal. Give us your information and tell us what needs doing.
Wonderful. The first, I will explain why I know the elves wish to have my tuning forks. The full set of 14 could allow a group large enough, perhaps an entire civilization, to leave this plane of existence permanently. The elves wish to step beyond. Where they wish to go, I know not. They have always been outsiders here. Which leads to a curious bit of information. I know for a fact the elves will need an incredibly potent source of magic to power this ritual. More powerful than the tuning forks themselves can provide. And while Dryad is a potent spellcaster, she is no archmage. I have it on good faith that the erstwhile allies of the Palefall Covenant have in their possession some incredibly powerful access to magic of some kind. I know not what. Secrecy is potent. But there is certainly something. And what I do know, that they do not want the elves to know about it. Heavens know why.
I'm sorry, I spaced for a moment there. Who did he say had this source of power?
The church.
Sounds like it's the church.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Fane will look to Lydia. As far as I know, there is not a convergence of ley lines in the territory of the Everlight Church. Or at least not one that rivals any that we possess in power.
They do not. It'll be a curious thing to see where they move, where they think they have this power stored. My familiarity with the land suggests nothing. But that's nothing to say that they haven't found something on their crusades.
What if it's not something they found, but someone they have? If Nyx is able to anchor people to ley lines, unlock their magical potential, who's to say that something similar couldn't have happened to their leaders? If Imam Talem has enough magic anchored to him in one way or another, he could act as a battery. It would explain the change in their diplomatic stance.
Perhaps that is the case.
Nonetheless, that is all I have to share. I understand it doesn't seem to be a particularly massive story, but I have my suspicions that should the news get large, the elves may take issue. Now, of course, you could say nothing at this point. Leave me high and dry and hope the Pale Fall decides to declare war on me and sweep me clean from this earth, so I am, cuts his eyes over to Fane, never your problem ever again. That bet is yours to hedge.
As much as you would like to paint me to be one, I am no betrayer.
On the contrary, love, I do not think you a betrayer. I think you lost.
We're having a double crisis over here.
I'm loving it personally. This is great, honestly.
Are we once again bringing personal matters to a diplomatic argument?
Again, my decorum simply seems to keep slipping. Thank you again, House Historian, for ensuring that I act appropriately when in the presence of those of higher caste.
The term "those of higher caste" gets a huge eye roll from Fane.
Oh, he knows. So, anything else y'all feel like super relevant needs to happen right now here? Jal is kind of like sitting across the table, kind of looking at you all. Are you certain you don't wish any meal? You both look famished.
I think... Well, no sense in coming all this way and not indulging in the king's hospitality. And Fane will relax into like a very large chair.
Could not agree more, he says, offering a sick smile. And will the historian be joining us?
For the meal or for the after party?
Either.
Fane barely keeps wine in her mouth.
And the intention is to sound a bit coy with it. Perhaps I'll start with the meal and see where the evening takes us.
He doesn't say anything, just smiles harder. And I think that's just horny enough for us to pass it off to Chouse to figure out where he's at. So, let's check in with our boy.
Something. Talk to your players about lines and veils.
Exactly. Critical. All right.
I don't remember filling out a consent sheet.
Hey, I have one from you. Don't act like you weren't asked for it. All right? Don't do me like that, all right? You make me look bad on the internet. So.
On his own show? Goddamn.
I know, right? So. We cut ourselves over. It was about a day's travel by boat. Not very far. You spent your time drinking, playing cards, and making merry with the crew, trading information as needed. You land at Revan Pass just as the evening begins to set in. There's a tavern in the midst of town where you were told you would be meeting a contact. It's busy at this time of night. Not so busy that you can't see things, but busy enough that there's definitely a fair bit going on. No question. You enter into the tavern, and you notice that there's a ring of tables sort of on either end, all around, facing a window that directly faces off to the west. A table is there, and a single individual is sitting facing the window. They have a hood on.
Rio will like approach, quietly, not making barely any noise or anything, and kind of say, if he was given a name of this contact, he would definitely say it, just like, you are them, no?
They are called the Snake.
I am indeed. I'm called many names.
And so they pull off their hood. They look over at you. They are clearly an elf, though not a pale fall elf, you wager? The ears are sharper and longer, and they spread out farther out here. And they have a nose piercing. Their eyes are a deep red as opposed to the usually see a darker light yellow from pale fall eyes, but these are very dark red. And his skin's also sort of an off bluish, blue-gray perhaps. He looks over and just takes a seat.
And he'll just nod and sit.
You from out west?
River Horse. Visiting.
Makes sense.
But,
I'm a bit of a traveler myself, Go about the lands
I've
and
noticed.
find all the pretty women I can. Just a bit of a thing. There are quite a few lookers around here, if you're interested, they say, giving a sort of raise of an eyebrow.
I'm afraid my visits, at least at the moment, are
Before you answer,
a bit
actually, if
more,
you don't mind, hold up. You should roll insight for me.
holding up. Insight?
Yes, please. What you got there for me, boss?
I got a raw 2.
Proceed as
See,
planned.
what's my insight?
Proceed as planned.
Insight. Insight's a -1, so that's
That's a 1.
Why is your sneaky
Yeah?
boy a -1 for insight? I need answers.
because he's stealth, sleight of hand, persuasion, investigation, deception, and what is that? Acrobatics.
It's because he is not a rogue that checks things out beforehand. He's just got the
He
skills
just
to
does it.
fly by the seat of his pants.
He just gets it
He
done.
So fucking
He
rudely.
just gets it done.
Shit, I've been betrayed again? Well, I'm just going to have to kick so much ass that I'm fine.
Time
Fourth
to
pound this
stab
week.
another bitch.
Jesus, Chouse. All right.
Listen.
So yeah, go ahead. With
Well,
that,
you to assume he hasn't considered killing the fucking dude. What the fuck's his name? Mitri. Any bitch he has beef with.
okay.
Lydia's ex. But yeah. Like, if he's got a problem with you, he's probably at least thought about stabbing you.
Outside of the people that Rio wants to murder, with that 1 to insight, don't worry, answer as you feel like answering. So he to remind you, you were told that he goes around traveling looking for pretty girls, and that there's quite a few around here if you're looking for them.
I feel like there are several coded messages that could be, but
But you
not
rolled a
even
1
as
on
player,
insight.
I know, not even as a player I can figure that out. Fuck.
Just answer, bro.
He doesn't want to think he's referring about a Morgan, but he knows Morgan's in Ithaca's court, but also Ithaca has a wide connection to teleportation things. Fuck. But he will respond with. He'll respond with. Well, let's deal with some business, and then maybe on to pleasure.
The snake wilts. Oh man, you're bad at this, huh? It's information. The women are information. I have information about people, things around here. Jeez.
No, we call them whispers, not women. What?
Oh gods. So this is how this works usually. You quietly remove a bag of gold from your pouch, put it on the table, slide it towards me. I tell you some things, and then we both go away and pretend we've never seen each other before. Okay?
This is that
Rio
way of
is
thing.
just
Like,
objectifying to the fact, or is objecting to the fact that it's like very objectifying. Like, you can't call secrets women. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
That's very
yeah,
rude.
like what the fuck?
Super
Yeah,
sexist.
like, like
the
he
snake.
will
Can we
definitely
talk
be
about
like,
your nickname?
like
Gonna get canceled,
he's
sweaty.
definitely gonna be like dropping like he's definitely gonna be like in like Brooks like accent, just like, mate, you can't call them women. That's kind of cringo. Like you can't just like and like completely just full on like hard slam Brooks lingo, just like complete cultural disconnect between the opposite sides of the river. And he's like, actually, now I kind of recognize there's a bit of a slang disconnect. So I guess that does make sense.
Okay, can we discuss linguistics later, maybe? I just want to get paid now. What do you want?
Information. God damn it.
I know. That's what I
I'm
have.
sorry, I'm
So again, I want you to
Okay.
put some gold on the table, and I'll tell you some stuff I want to know. Or you might want to know.
So how? Okay, so it took a day of boating for Rio to get here,
Mm-hmm.
and at this point, would Rio have been able to check in with Fane and God damn it, Lydia, about like what they know? Like, has their interaction
This is happening
ended?
about
No?
the same time.
Okay. Okay.
Also, you're muted, Vermin.
I think if you try, you probably get a busy signal.
There's a just pick up. There's a sound of it being picked up, a muffle, and then it goes silent.
Fucking goddamn it,
That's
y'all.
the busy signal.
I just. All right. Anyway.
You accidentally overhear this dragon being really horny.
Listen. You never heard dragon sex before?
Okay.
You won't want to again. Any case.
Don't tell him what he's into.
You know what? Good point. All right. Okay. Back into the scene.
My brain's shutting off.
You got this, boss. Don't worry. We'll get through this.
Lily.
Again, the snake sees you trying to think about it a bit. It's just like, again, like he kind of was just like, I was told I was supposed to meet you, right? I know what I'm supposed to tell you already. Just it was for the show, dude. Just put the gold on the table, please.
We'll go. Fair enough. And just not even like put it on the table, but like toss it directly like over the table and to land in his hand.
And catches it, opens it, pulls out a coin, flings it, catches it, bites it, puts it back.
Why would you bite it?
Not important. What is important is why you're here. Madame Vairdans has kept me in the loop for a while. I'm not an agent of House Vairdans, but let's say we go way back. What's important to know for you is, well, things have been a little too quiet over here in the Pale Fall country. The elves are quietly mobilizing and militarizing more, sending off more and more Waywatchers and archers off to the Everlight Church's forces. Mostly seems quiet, but there's a couple quaint caveats I've noticed. One, Drya, leader of the place around here, dead silent. Ain't seen her. Not a lick. Second, it's a little strange, but there's a rumor going around. Real curious one. So, you're not gonna believe this. I was at a tavern up north of here, not too far outside of Everreach, actually. Hanging out with some friends of mine, enjoying some drinks, having a few smokes here or there, and you won't believe who walks in. He stops to pull out like a gathering of like a pack, a bundle of some kind, which he opens, pulls a long cigar out of, and it's just like, in walks, of all people, Draka, the Crusade's Bishop of Iron, Iman's military master, or if you hadn't noticed it. She's a real vicious one, that one. Pretty as all hell, though. Rumor says they're dating, by the way, which is relevant for the story, I think. So my friends and I are hanging out.
For player clarification, Draka and who?
Draka, the Bishop of Iron is her title.
Yes, Draka and
she is Iman's...
who are dating.
Iman, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the rumor.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
For context, that's her. So, and so it says, and that's the curious thing. I'm sitting there drinking with my friends there, doing our own things. Draka walks into the tavern, starts going around checking tables. We think maybe she's just doing routine searching, checking for travel papers or documentation, or doing her usual ruffling up with the locals. Till she gets to our table, and she turns to a waiter who's going by and just goes, "Same thing I had before, extra one though, if you don't mind." The waiter gives a low nod, and doesn't go away with the drink. Instead, he kind of just walks over, slowly slips a piece of paper to the snake, and then nods and disappears. Goes. So Draka walks up to us, he says, resuming his story. She holds this out and asks if we've seen this woman. She look familiar? And you look down at the picture. Not even going to have you roll. She does. Absolutely. In fact, she's a member of your house. The picture is of Lydia. And that's not the weirdest thing. Although that's pretty weird. She got a little clutchy about it when we asked questions. Wondered why we were looking for her. I just asked if it was an order. And she got real evasive on that one. Which makes me think Iman might not know she's up to this.
Real kind of take a lean back. What would they want with
Honestly, I was hoping you'd have some information on that. That's where all my leads went south. Again, I just trade rumors. People give me money, I give them what info I hear. Tends to be how I get down. It's a good trade. Nonetheless, that's mostly what I got for you. Last little bit that I did gather, which is probably a bit more relevant for your sake, is caught a couple battalions of Everlight infantry and forces moving with supply caravans towards the coast.
Okay.
My guess is Ryza, but
how many strong would you wager a guess at?
couple thousand maybe. Easily just a vanguard force, though. Can imagine it's their entire invasion fleet.
Okay. Setting up a lily pad.
Listen, friend, if you're gonna speculate on
fuck.
things, this might be a thing that I can't really do right here with you. You got anything you want to spill out, or
Um, just say things are about to get real hot in the waters.
he looks over, just as the door to the bar opens. You could say that again. Another customer of mine just walked in. You look over, and there's an elf, a woman. Her hair is long down her back and tied in a high ponytail. She's fully armored, shield strapped to her arm, a sword and a scabbard at her waist, a helmet under her other arm. She walks in fully armed, does not greet or speak to anyone, begins to walk straight to the snake. Doesn't even acknowledge or notice your existence at all. Walks up to him, and he turns and just says, Araya, darling, I ain't seen you in a bit. You've been way too preoccupied. What can I do for you? She walks up, tosses a bag of coins on the table. It's about time. I'm looking for a man. A man, you say? I know plenty of men. I can find you one around here. I mean, I happen to be single if you're looking for a suitor. Nonsense, Snake. I'm looking for a particular man. Figured as much. What's the name? She lets out a hard sigh. Airdre Ternatyar. Have you last seen him? The snake cuts his eyes to you, cuts them back to her, cuts them over to you, cuts them back again. Ain't seen him in a bit. I'll put some feelers out though.
That this person's name was Araya.
Mm-hmm.
May I ask what you need of this person? The name does sound familiar, but I'm not sure exactly where.
She cuts her eyes to you. Chalice, roll deception for me.
Oh, a thing I'm good at? One moment. Is
Oof.
so Roll20 did a thing,
What'd it do?
and they changed up their UI. So now I have like a 12 next to my skills for deception. Is that just how many points I have in
It's probably
deception or
what your
deception
bonus is to it. Just.
Okay.
Here, click on deception. It should roll just fine.
Okay. Because I got a 13 and then a plus 12, so that's like a 25 now.
Sure is. She cuts her eyes over you, up and down, and then turns. He is my betrothed.
I need to. Foxy, you keep using these big ass words, and now I gotta fucking Google shit.
They're engaged. They're engaged.
Oh, thanks.
So yeah, that's all she says to you. She doesn't say anything else after that. Just looks at you and very, very, very flatly just, he's my betrothed.
And he dipped on you?
He did. And I'd like to know why, after all these years. She looks back. Snake, if you have anything, I'll be back tomorrow. He says, all right, I'll see you. And then before he can finish her statement, she's already wheeled around and begun to walk away. Yeesh. Icebox that one.
Yeah, not very warm. Did have some good looks though. And he'll kind of like hit the table, like like when you slap the like the top of a car kind of thing. But he'll kind of like do that to the table. And he said, "You did say there were some pretty women." And he will, he assumes that like all the things that need to be said, have been said. Um, and he will well, if our business is done here, I do have a bit of a passing word for you. Nobody in that position of power, and he'll say the name of the person who's like in control of these parts. Nobody
Raya?
of that position, Raya. Nobody in Raya's position would ever go quiet. They're planning something.
Either that,
Something's
or she knows something.
that too. But nobody ever just stays quiet.
Couldn't agree
And
more.
I feel like something's about to happen. But as for what, I am not privy to that information.
He starts to
But
move a
something
bit.
big.
Whatever it is, I won't be here to see it. I tend to pack up and move my ass before things start happening, so good luck.
As is the best way. You too.
He hops up out of the chair and starts to make his way out of the door.
Enough. Rio will wait like 1 or 2 minutes, have like a single drink, and then be on his own way.
And I think with that, we bring today's session to a close. I'd like to thank you all in the audience for coming out to view today's session of Against the Light. Bit of a longer session than I actually planned for, but what can I say? My players bring the RP, as they always do. Let's make this real short, simple, and sweet. We're going to go around the horn in reverse order. Please say who you are, who you've been playing, where you can be found on the internet, and what other things you have coming up. Please, starting at the bottom right with Meg Mysteria.
You switched it up on me. I was expecting to go the other way. But
Ah.
hello, everybody. I am Meg Mysteria. If you haven't been paying attention, I have played Lydia Evermore, our house historian for this campaign. As far as where you can find me at Meg Mysteria on Twitch, on Itch, on Twitter, as well as in the Neon Lights Discord and TPK Roleplay. As far as what I've got coming up, I think the next thing in play is we're coming back around in 2 weeks for our next episode of Against the Light. And then we also have the Hubris of Man, the Alien RPG campaign that I am running over on TPK Roleplay. We'll have that for our April installment in about 4 weeks. I think that's it, so we'll throw it over to Chouse.
Going across the dice window over to our good friend Chouse.
Yo, hello there. I have been. Who have I been? I've been a lot. I have been broken today mentally, so I'm sorry for that. I have been Rio Brenshaw. I can't English. I'm so sorry.
You're doing your
But
best.
I am Chouse. I have been Rio. I'd love to have a functional brain. But we can't all get what we want. So
Honestly.
here I am. Yeah. And yeah.
That's it?
I don't know where I was going with this.
I don't know.
Yeah. You think I got the mental capacity to think right now, Foxy? You dead ass wrong.
You're doing great, baby boy. I'm proud of you. Let's go ahead and wrap ourselves up by passing right up above Chouse there on your top left of the screen with the legendary Vermin.
Hey everybody, I'm Legendary Vermin. You can find me as Legendary Vermin on all the places on the internet that matter. That's Itch, Twitch, Twitter, and Tate's not here, YouTube. You can find a big long playlist of all the shows that I think I've ever done on that YouTube. It's got collections from things I'm going to mention that are coming up. One shots, all sorts of good stuff, both from TPK, Neon Lights, and elsewhere. You can find my games at itch.io. I am a game designer. It's going to be quiet for a while as I figure out my scheduling. And you can find my trash, gutter, awful opinions on Twitter. Yeah, if you ever were wondering what I'm doing elsewhere on the internet for stuff like this, you can go to legendaryvermin.com/live and find my schedule. Like Meg said, after 2 weeks from now, on April 2nd, we'll have Against the Light. And then I am in Madness Calls It Forth, a game of City of Mists on Monday, April 4th. That's going to be episode 8 of that series. Things are really heating up. It's going to be a really, really good show. And of course, Hubris of Man, which is going to be awful and scary. And you can always you can pay to make our lives miserable. But
I have so many
you
ways
don't-
to do so. Please give me reason.
It's pretty fun to watch.
the
not gonna
best
lie.
part is you don't need to pay. Meg's going to do it anyway. And you can just sprinkle that awful sauce right on top.
It's like when Disney lets you pay a quarter to like spray the people on the fucking like the waterfall ride, and you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Drop
it's like that.
$100, you'll get a spontaneous xenomorph.
It's it's stuff like that, and you don't have to pay just a quarter. It'll go a long ways into those folks' pocket. The last thing I was gonna say is I have been Fane Hemlock, your 8-foot tall bird woman who's trying and failing, definitely failing very hard, failing gleefully to not hook up with her ex again this evening. And that's all I got for today.
And I guess that sends us right back over here to me. Folks, if you haven't figured out who I am by now, I'm Young Foxy, aka Big Foxy, also known as your favorite fox. You can find me on Twitter Sphere. Well, you could find me on Twitter Sphere at Big Foxy. You currently can't, because I got permabanned again. But we're going to figure that out at some point. Outside of that, today I've been playing my players' toxic ex-boyfriends, apparently, seems to be the case. That's what I'm doing a lot of that these days. But when not doing that, I play everyone else's campaign. You know, both. And Snake They Them friends. But when not doing that, the next place you'll catch me at will be... let's see. You guys won't see me again until Wednesday, where I'm back here for After the End, my gritty, dark tale about survival, death, and moving on. Last session was deep. It's going to get hopefully a little bit more wholesome this session. Who knows? After that, I will be over on Penny for a Tale with Into the Stormlands, the Pathfinder 2e campaign. Then I'm back on TPK Roleplay for Cold Hands, Warm Hearts. Saturday, we're doing some Core Heart stuff off stream. Fuck yeah. And then Sunday, I'm back over here on Neon Lights for the Violet Sea, our 4th player Tate's homebrew session campaign that is super, super awesome and that I really enjoy. And so that's how that works, you know. But outside of that, you'll see me in all kinds of places doing all kinds of new things. I just want to take a moment here before we head out to just say, like, a couple of things. One, I love this show and this cast. Y'all somehow managed to make this show both, like, incredibly serious and, like even toned while still having, like, a riotous, hilarious time the whole time, which I really, really enjoy y'all for. Like, I don't know. So that, I want to thank you guys for that a lot. And also, since I don't say it very often...
balance.
Yeah, you know. And also, because I don't say it very often, like, I gather these players because of a lot of things, and it also is because they're really good at what they do. So there's a reason why I give them time to plug the stuff they're doing outside of this show. Please don't let this be the only place you see these people. They're all great role players and great people. Please go see other things they do. In particular, Hubris of Man is really, really fucking fun. I am loving watching it. So definitely don't miss that. Honestly, these are all awesome people, and I am very, very glad to have them. We, friends, are going to go ahead and get ourselves out of here. It looks like our dear friend Ark's Dragon's Breath is live, so we are going to go ahead and get on our end screen and throw our raid over to him. Want to thank you all for tuning in to say hello. We will catch you all back here in 2 weeks. You'll see Lights Roleplay in about 4 or 5 days. I hope you all have a wonderful end to your days. You take care of yourselves and each other, and be sure to always continue to tell the stories you have to. The world needs them. Bye, everybody.
Bye.